Hey David, welcome to the stream. Yes, good morning where I'm at, good afternoon for some people, and good evening for others, so happy to have a bunch of people watching from all over the world. Morning, Philip. Thanks for being here. Hello, Lord Henry. Welcome. Got how to speak there for a second. Yeah, they are certainly realizing, and it's not a surprise based on past behavior, but when they put out a major patch, they are definitely going to be watching the community response and the forums to make sure that things have gone right with that patch. And if they haven't, then they're going to be responding to it. Yeah, that's an interesting statement, both of you. No one is entirely sure what that statement means. I think the community is really anxious to, by that statement, I mean that's the statement that Larian put out in the tweet. I think the community is waiting to see exactly what that means, because mod support on the consoles is incredibly difficult to get past the console manufacturers. So I'm really anxious to see what exactly that means. There obviously isn't going to be the ability, well, I can't say obviously, if there is the ability to install mods through, Xbox or something like that, I would be shocked to see that happen. I think it's going to be more along the lines of save games and that sort of stuff that have mods in them aren't necessarily going to keep Xbox players or console players from accessing them and that sort of stuff. Honestly, no one really knows. And I think that's where a lot of the anxiousness on the part of the community is coming in about it. We're all very anxious to see what the possibilities are, but I think some people might be overstating what that actually is going to turn into. Yeah, and that's the one thing, Philip, that people are pointing to is the creation engine and that sort of stuff. And going back, if any of you were part of Skyrim when that was happening, you will understand how long that took to happen and how long it took Microsoft to approve it, and then the horrific links that modders have to go through to get approval for the mods through the Xbox store. So I'm not saying it won't happen here, because again, the popularity of this game is going to shift console manufacturers thinking about a lot of these things. And I really am anxious to see how all that works. But again, the creation kit stuff for Skyrim, if you look at the mods, quote unquote, that are available on PC for Skyrim, there are 10 times the amount of mods available on PC than there are on console through creation. And that's always been the case, simply because a lot of modders simply don't have the time or resources to go through getting those mods approved through the creation kit by Microsoft. And that's what's going to be really interesting to see how this is implemented. And like I say, exactly what Larian meant by that tweet. I mean, we're all anxious for it, so I'll be anxious to see what happens. Hey, Astarion, welcome. Yeah, it was an average week at work this week, so yeah, Philip, that's exactly right. And that's, I mean, it's, you can see the evidence of it, like I said, with how Bethesda and the Creation Club worked, or is working with Skyrim. The number of mods that are available on the consoles is nowhere near the amount that's available through through the PC side of things, and that's just, like I say, part of it. Very few people are willing to go through all of the headache to work with Microsoft on this, to get through their store. It's just one of those things. But I mean, we're hopeful, but at this point, we're just kind of apprehensive to wait and see what it really means. The tweet was intentionally vague, I think. It's probably the first time I've seen Larian be intentionally vague in a way that potentially oversells something. But I think we'll be, I could be entirely wrong. So, it could turn into, full mod support somehow, some way, through some methodologies that I'm not aware of, to see it. But I think that tweet might have oversold things a little bit. Hey Eric, welcome. Yeah, I haven't either. I won't play with mods until I've finished my first set of playthroughs. And it's hard for me to add in mods while I'm doing the live streams as well. Yeah, that mod will break the game. That's one of those mods that people install, and then an hour after they've installed it, they either go, "Wow, this is just way too easy," or maybe they just like everything to be the easy button and and leave it installed. Ugh. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Welcome everyone to today's live stream, episode 32 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Bard gameplay series. I'm Commander Jorval, and I want to thank you for coming along on our journey today. So, on admin notes, anyone who was here for the Wednesday Starfield live stream saw that there was some issues, which I'm attributing to YouTube. I could not find any internet issues here or any OBS studio issues on my end, so I think it was simply a YouTube issue concerning the bandwidth that was available to the stream and whether or not it could keep streaming at 1080p and 60 FPS or not. So today it appears to be more stable. In the 15 minutes since we've started, I've dropped 46 frames out of all the frames that we've sent, so I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm hoping that YouTube has figured that sort of stuff out and it's more stable and we're able to keep the frame rates that we're used to here on this. But if you see a drop off or you see buffering, please let me know. Not saying it won't be just you when that happens, but if you do, please let me know so I can glance up at the analytics for the stream and just make sure that we're getting the bandwidth that we're supposed to. The rates are fluctuating quite a bit right now, but they seem to be fluctuating between high and higher, which is okay. and it's not dropping down nearly to what it was, but I want to keep an eye on it. So if you do notice some issues with buffering or anything like that, please do drop a note in chat and let me know so I can glance up and take a look at the analytics. So the next couple of admin notes are both about hotfixes from Larian. So the first hotfix that they dropped was on the 20th, I believe, for hotfix 18. And this was really to fix something that we encountered during the last week's live streams, and that's the when you enter into the vendor screen, you would see that the gold limits, or how much gold you and the vendor would have, would be set at 0, and it would take a while for it to refresh, and it would also take a while to refresh the items. It would show you the weapons and armor, but it wouldn't show you anything else, and it would take 5 to 10 seconds for that to populate. They supposedly have fixed that. That was the only reason that they released hotfix 18. We'll take a look at that during our playthrough today and see, but that was a very small hotfix that was put out. And then the next one was on the 23rd. Again, I believe it was the 23rd. It might have been the 22nd, but that was hotfix 19. Now, hotfix 19 was originally it might have been the 22nd, and then on the 23rd they released the console version of that hotfix, if I remember right. But hotfix 19 had a few other fixes that were introduced with patch 6. There was some more issues with meta magic and Eldritch Blast that had to get worked out. There was some dialogue fixes that had to happen because of how the new character prioritization works with NPC dialogues. Some of that was cutting off, because the biggest place to notice that early game is at Joaquin's Rest, is because your main character may be up rescuing Floric, but then the rest of your party might be outside, and when Floric runs away to get outside, your main character might not be close enough, so it would prioritize whoever was closest. And the new prioritization scheme, trying to prioritize your character over who's closest, would cause some dialogue lines to get cut off, because Floric would actually start talking to another character before it swapped to yours. So they did some fixes with that. There were some other performance issues and that sort of stuff with trading that's been fixed. The group hide mechanic is still being worked out a little bit. You could click the group hide button even when your party was ungrouped, and it would group everybody, which isn't necessarily what you want to happen, especially if it hides somebody who's in combat and it uses up an action or a bonus action to do that. So they've supposedly worked that out. I think there have been some stuff on the forums that they're still trying to work out some of that. And then just some other random things here and there that they've noticed. And yes, like David mentioned, hotfix 18 it fixed a crash where if you had been in barter mode with an NPC vendor and you left talking to that vendor while you were still in barter mode, sometimes when you came back, it would default to barter mode instead of trade mode, and it would default into whichever mode you'd left it in previously, and starting it off in barter mode would often cause a crash. Again, related to not being able to populate the gold amounts and the item listings in the inventory. So that was, again, part of hotfix 18. It was a fairly rare thing because it only happened with 2 vendors, I think they said in the forums. I'd have to go back and look. But it was also fixed. So again, Larian doing what they always do. When they put out a big patch, they realize it's going to cause some issues. And they go out of their way to listen to the community forums and get out hot fixes to address the issues. That's also a testament to all of us as players who I hope are taking the time to comment on the forums about those bugs or soft locks or things like that that pop up after patches have been released. The community is really being extraordinarily helpful to Larian on this, and I think that's because the community trusts that Larian is actually going to work on the things that they're commenting on. So many times you get AAA games that have a bug fix forum and that sort of stuff, and people post bug fixes on there, and it seems like they don't get any comment back on them, or they're just completely ignored for months and months and months. And I think Larian, again, is showing the community that they listen to their input, and that is causing all of us to give more input to them, realizing that those things aren't just going to be ignored. So it's Larian doing an amazing job like they always do on keeping their game updated, but it's also us as the community realizing and putting our trust in Larian and then giving them more input for them to be able to make more of these fixes. So kudos to everybody all around, actually, on this. And hopefully it continues as we move on. The other note here that was posted in a tweet by Larian concerns kind of some path forward and some things that they're working on, and I didn't talk about this previously, but we did talk a little bit about it in the chat this morning. And that is Larian putting out a tweet about mod support for the game. And it's, I guess, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Larian loves the modding community, and that's not to be unexpected. The modding community for this game is very robust, and it's going to continue being that way. And if you're familiar with a lot of the Bethesda games, you've seen how robust the modding community is there, and how Bethesda released official support for those modders to be able to do more things with the game. And Larian appears to be going down that same path to a certain extent, and that extent we just don't know about. So the tweet basically said, well, actually I can try and pull it up here real quick, but the tweet basically said that they're working on something. They don't want to talk about it very much because it's not ready yet. But here's the actual wording. We've been working on a robust cross-platform plan for mod support to be released later in the year. We love our modding community and want to support them. It's coming. And that sent waves through the community, because modding on consoles mod support for consoles has always been extraordinarily difficult, and that's because Sony and Microsoft have iron-fisted control over anything that is put onto the Microsoft store or the Sony store for in-game purchases to an existing game, or as add-ins or things like that that are outside of the game, of an existing game, that go into that game. They have to see them, they have to approve them, they have to look line by line through the code, they have to do everything to make sure that this mod isn't going to be harmful to the players and or the platform. And there are a lot of hurdles to jump through to get that approval that small modders just aren't able to do. They just don't have the time or the resources to do it. We saw this with Bethesda's Creation Kit, how that was able to open up quote-unquote mods to Bethesda games. And we saw it a lot in Skyrim with the release of the Legendary Editions and that sort of stuff. And the one thing that I will note is that if you look at the amount of mods that are available on PC for some of the Bethesda games, and you look at how many of them there are, the amount that are available on console is a tiny fraction of that. And again, because those independent small modders might not have the resources to get all the approval they need to get onto the console platforms. So I'm anxious to see exactly what that tweet means. That is all we've gotten on it so far. And I think it gave people a lot of hope that you're going to be able to install a bunch of mods that we've seen for the PC onto console versions and have cross-play and cross-platform compatibility between them with your save games. I don't know how in-depth that's going to be. I really, just because of, like I say, the technical limitations of how hard it is to get a mod made or approved by Sony and Microsoft. We will see. We're hopeful to see that this could be something really expansive for the console players to be able to have access to all of these mods. However, I don't think anybody wants to oversell it. And that tweet, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, may have oversold it a little bit. So I could be entirely wrong about that. This could be the best thing since sliced bread. And it could turn out to be a revolutionary new way of handling mods cross-platform. I'm just not entirely sure that's going to be the case. So I'm tempering my enthusiasm while at the same time still being very enthusiastic for it. So we will see what happens later on in the year for that. I'm sure that there's going to be an announcement by both Sony and Microsoft when this happens in conjunction with Larian, because again, those two companies made a big deal out of the Creation Club support for Bethesda being able to have that cross-platform modding compatibility, and how it was a revolutionary thing. And I'm sure they would do something similar because of the popularity of Baldur's Gate 3. So we'll just kind of wait and see, and feel free to get excited about it. I'm just going to temper my enthusiasm a little bit. So I think that's it on the admin notes. So on our recap, we had finished last week's live stream by basically talking to all of the Thorm family members out in Reithwin Town and finishing all of the quote-unquote boss encounters that are out there by talking our way through everything and avoiding all of the fights. And we left at the end of the live stream to go explore the rest of Reithwin Town. There's a bit of content to handle out here, and we're going to start this off with 2 combat encounters that are very closely related, or that are very close to each other here on the northwest side of town. So without any further ado, I think we're going to jump right into that, and we'll jump into a fight to start things off today. Okay, so here's where we left off. And if you remember, we had grouped everybody up. We had made our way through the graveyard here and up onto this raised area. And I believe we had picked up Yes, we had picked up the Watcher Shield and the Assassin Short Sword from... We had looted those from the bodies up here. And now we're going to get ready for this combat down here. Now, here you can see that we have Shadow Mastiffs. We've run into them before. Shadow Mastiffs are... they have a Shadow Veil, and they also have a Shadow Teleport ability to them. So they are able to teleport between shadowed areas. We've run into them before. We have some Shadow Cursed enemies down here. And they're high enough level that some of them are going to have extra attack and that sort of stuff. This half-orc here is a barbarian class. They have unarmored defense and they have rage, so prioritizing them is going to be a big deal. But what you see down here is not necessarily all that there is down here in this area, and we're going to prep accordingly because, yeah, you can see there's a Wraith down here, and we've seen Wraiths before, and the auras that they have and the Extinguishing Malice ability that they have. So what we've done is kind of set ourselves up. You can see by the pathing that there's really one way up here, and that's through this choke point here. Now again, some of these enemies are going to be able to teleport past anything that we lay down here in this choke point, but we still want to utilize it to the best of our abilities to choke off movement that we're going to have. And in doing that,
watching and waiting.
Okay, we're going to start this off as usual. Here. And just making sure. Yes. So we're going to start this off here, and I think we're just going to... Actually, we will start this off with a ranged defensive flourish. So, what ranged defensive flourish is going to allow us to do is up our armor class for one full turn. Actually, I can, instead of doing that, because I don't know if they're going to be able to reach me, is I can do a ranged slashing flourish instead. And what this allows me to do is to attack two targets. This operates a little differently than the melee version. The melee version operates in a box out in front of your character. So up to two enemies that are in that box in front of you are able to be hit by the slashing flourish. The ranged version of it simply allows you to attack two different people, like you would with Scorching Ray or Eldritch Blast or something like that, or you can attack the same person twice. Okay, now we have the Bow of the Banshee here, so we want to try and lock two different people in place with Frightened. So we're going to attack two different individuals here. Okay. So we got a crit on one that frightened this half-orc here. We got a regular attack here, and that frightened this dwarf here. So they are both locked in place and aren't going to be able to move for 2 turns. So now we're going to kind of prep how the rest of this goes, and we're going to start by moving Will up here.
Every step counts.
And
taking my time in the shadows.
yes, we still do. So we're going to get... Because if he drops that... Okay, I think we are just going to go and try and knock them back instead. Oh, yeah, Will does not have repelling blast, that's right. So we're going to go with him and drop the darkness here. Okay, and now I can freely move everybody up into, well, as soon as I move them into the darkness, it's going to trigger them into combat, because that darkness is Will's. I'm thinking here. Give me just a second. Okay.
I'm ready.
So I'd have to move down there to do it. So I think I'm just going to, because these are, I can move down there and not be in the darkness to get there. That's really only going to be affecting those three, though. So I think I'm just going to start Spirit Guardians and move into the darkness. And that's going to, again, put me into combat, because that darkness belongs to Will, and Will's in combat. So entering into it is going to drop me into combat. Okay, so now we'll end our turn here. So for Will, he doesn't have to be hiding anymore, but it doesn't matter one way or another. And we're going to prioritize these two for now. I'm not as worried about the shadows, to be honest.
Need to stay focused.
And I don't need to be utilizing his meta magic at this point. I got a couple questions about that. Why don't you ever use the meta magic on Will? I don't honestly need to with these fights. Once I get into bigger fights, I'm gonna have to, and I will want to rely on that. But right now, I just don't need to. Okay, so we're just going to move Shadowheart farther in here. We were trying out the Punch-Drunk Bastard previously, but we're going to use her action to re-equip. Oh, her action was already done on her last turn, that's right. Okay, now for me, again, I'm going to move up here because we have Sentinel.
On my way.
I want to get close to everybody. I'm going to use my bonus action here to pop Circuitry Interface and end our turn. Okay, so for here, I'm going to save my last two inspirations for another fight that's going to be coming up. Okay, so I definitely want to remove this one. And where's the Mastiff? Way back there? That's fine. Okay, so for Shadowheart, I think we're fairly well positioned. I'm just going to move her here instead. And then, because I simply just messed that up. Yeah, that's going to use one action. She can't equip a shield without her second action, so... Okay. So, immediately saw what happened there. Dropped Reverberation. As soon as the condition Lathander's Light was applied, it immediately dropped Reverberation. I don't know, I think just Dark Vision here. Oh no, Repelling Blast is there as well. Path is going to be interrupted. For both of them. Okay, now they are going to become blinded by this, which is exactly what I wanted. So we might be able to kill her outright here. Perfect. Okay, and now you notice something about the shadows. They're very unwilling to enter the darkness spell. And since the shadows are melee based, keeping them outside of that, or keeping your characters farther away from the edge of the darkness, is going to basically mean that their turns just end. See, just like that. It sat there outside of the darkness, didn't want to move into the darkness, so it just ended its turn. And now that's going to allow us to do some fairly cheeky things with Shadowheart.
Heading there.
To basically just move her up and move her back. And do damage using Spirit Guardians while she's doing it. She doesn't have to do anything but move to cause that damage. So her cantrips and that sort of stuff, she's not going to be able to see outside of it because she's blinded. That's going to become something that we will see a remedy for a little bit later. But for now, I'm just going to end her turn. Just barely can't hit there. Perfect. Went after the person with the highest armor class, which is always what you like to see. Easy peasy. even easier.
This is my time.
Easy is as easy does.
Stay on my feet.
So, yeah.
Where am I needed?
Darkness in combination with Spirit Guardians in combination with Lathander's Light. Yeah. Little bit OP. Especially in Act 2. So we'll do some quick searching here.
I'm done. I can't wait to sleep. With haste.
And then we're going to go get in another fight. Okay, but first... So, Shadow Heart's encumbered. Oh, okay, so we were really close on our encumbrances. I didn't realize that. That frees everybody up? Yes, it does. Okay, so now... Trying to think. Yes, we can go get into this fight. Trying to figure out which one of these I want to do first. Let's go do this one. Then we'll see what our action economy's like afterward. And see whether we want to take a long rest or we want to come back and do it. So we're going to put everybody into hiding again.
Never wanted the easy path.
We're going to make our way over here. And once we're here, we're going to break our group. And I'm going to approach this very slowly. Okay. So, if you approach this from this direction, and possibly the detection cones over here are very, very odd, so I don't recommend approaching from this way. But if you approach from this side here, you're going to be approaching outside of the detection cones for any of the Githyanki that are here. And once you do, you get that Quanith active notification, letting you know that they are now completely exposed, because otherwise they would be ambushing and they would surprise you. But up at the top you can see the Quanith alert active. This is going to give you advantage on any of the attacks that you make to start this off. All right. Now, the Chirai here I'm going to actually change this a little bit. I think. I'm actually not entirely sure. I'm going to look through the inventory here. And I'm going to change curs out. I'm not going to start this off with curs, but I'm hoping that I can get curs involved in this very quickly. Okay, and I'm going to start this attack off by going after the Chirai. Now, one thing that you can do is that the Chirai is up here on the top, so you can Eldritch Blast them off, or push them off, or knock them off and cause some more fall damage. I actually want the Chirai to stay up here. I want them to be this close to us at all times. And that's because I want to maximize the amount of damage that I have. So for now, we're going to start this off, and we're going to start this off again. We're going to start this off with a, and actually that's an interesting question. I don't think I'm going to be able to, but let's see what my positioning can do here and see if we have a melee slashing floor. Yeah, it's too small. You can see the cone out in front. It's not a very big cone to be able to do it. So I think I'm just going to actually start this off with a shriek instead. So I can get the thunder damage prepped and ready for this. Okay, that was not what I was wanting to have happen. Because this raider turned around. I was hoping that they would turn towards me instead, but they didn't.
Let's not get caught off.
So, curs, before we do anything, we did change weapons, right?
If everyone else minds their business, I'll be fine. Time to press ahead.
What I was hoping is that I'd be able to get curs up here to make a strike at the Chirai. I just don't know as if I'm going to be able to do that now. Kind of looking at where he's going to be moving to be able to make that jump. This is going to put me in combat. And he rolled horribly on initiative. Okay.
Eyes open, mouth shut, not a peep.
Okay, and I'm definitely going to drop darkness here.
Mission has to come first. I see a way.
And now again, if I move up there with Will, I'm going to get brought into combat because that's his darkness. So as soon as I step into it, I'm going to get it, but I think I want to do that, and then we'll see where her initiative roll lands her. Okay, that's not bad. Might as well use my bonus action here. Okay. So now, we're going to get farther into the darkness here. And now for this, we are going to be using some meta magic. And now, oh, I used haste. That was a misplay on my part. That was entirely a misplay on my part. I might be able to get around it. I might be able to get around it, though.
Have to keep going.
So, instead of having that there, I could drop Fog Cloud. Just for this round. Just to keep me safe from this set of attacks. I wish it told me which targets. What do I have?
Where do I go from here?
I got plenty of spell slots here. Okay. So that didn't work out so bad.
Never a dull moment.
Still breathing, despite everything.
So let's get down here.
Can't slow down.
Okay, so she saved on the silence. She did not save on that silence, though. Now me, I'm going to take this whole darkness thing on the road here.
Slow down. That was pretty good. Yeah, shot an arrow of many targets and it missed, and when it missed, it caused reverberation back on him because of the holy lance helm that she's wearing. Okay, so now I can move myself back into the darkness here, and I want to move a ways into the darkness.
Coming through.
Look at all that damage. Agonizing Blast, Gregarious Caster, all on top of all of the original damage from the Eldritch Blast. You start stacking damage onto different Eldritch Blast bolts, things get a little bit crazy. So now for them, looking at their resistances, they are this is from her being silent. She's now immune to thunder damage, which is perfectly fine. But they're resistant to only psychic damage, and that's it. She does have the Form of Dread, so she's got 15 temporary hit points that can't be frightened. And then every time she attacks, she can frighten us instead. But she is a warlock-based character, which means that she tends not to focus on utilizing her melee attacks very much. She tends to focus on her spell slot usage instead, and she's not going to be able to do that because she is silenced for 2 turns. That was the whole point of swapping that out there for that. So what I'm going to... And they're resistant to both necrotic damage, or they can be fully damaged by both necrotic and radiant damage. So I could cast my last cast of Spirit Guardians here. I think I want to try and save that because I don't think this fight is going to be as hard as I was originally thinking it was going to be. And why can't you cast... Oh, because Fog Cloud is still there.
What's the plan?
You're going to drop concentration on Fog Cloud because you don't need it anymore. See if we can drop more Reverberation on him. He didn't. He saved from it. So again, we're going to move quite a ways into the darkness. Oh, rolled an 18. So, again, I can drop shield here as a reaction. And what you want to do is try and finish this encounter off before these two even get into the fight. Which isn't normally that hard to do. So now Kurz here, I want to try and spread the damage around a little bit. Let's take out the Raider here if we can. 10 hit points. Only a 55% chance to hit here. Hit with them both. Nice. I like it. So let's try and move them back up here toward the top a little bit. Path is just barely interrupted there. Can probably get a ranged attack. I can. Okay, so I'm going to move Will back just a little bit here. Actually, I'm going to move him back farther. But first, let's get that off.
Got to keep fighting.
Okay, and Shadowheart, I was afraid of that. Okay, so we'll just wait and see what happens there, but I still want to save that last one. Yes, I still do. So we'll hold off on that for now. Okay, and if you guys want to go the opposite way, I'm perfectly fine with you doing that. Okay. So the warriors are blinded while in here. And I want to... gonna move him a little bit here. Oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt again. Oh, and he missed the one I wanted him to hit. Nope. Path is interrupted there. Okay, and now I'm going to move... What happened there? Oh, Shadow Cursed. I was like, wait a minute. Yes, the Shadow Cursed. If they die in shadows, there's a chance that they're going to become Shadow Cursed afterward. Again, doesn't bother me that much. Okay, so let's see if we have... We don't because of a broken railing there. So let's see if we can move... Will around here a little bit. Ouch.
I'm ready.
So her path is interrupted everywhere there. I wonder if she can shoot through here. Can't. Oh, because she's blinded in the darkness. Right. Is he dashing around this way? He's dashing around that way. Perfect. Just keep going back and forth. Doesn't matter to me. The longer you stay out of the fight, the better this is for me. Don't think I'm going to be able to hit down here. Yeah, not going to be able to, so I'm going to let them come to me.
No holding back.
Got to concentrate.
Okay, and now we can go to town on him. Missed an 80%er. Now take some more time getting back up here.
This is my time.
Again, I doubt I'll be able to hit anything down there.
What should I do?
I'm gonna move back into the darkness a little bit here.
Battle favors the fearless.
Can't afford to let up.
And rinse and repeat that one. Still don't think I've got line of sight on anything here. But I will check. No, I do not.
Battle favors the fearless.
Let's finish this.
Easy peasy.
On the victor's path.
Ready.
Let's see if I have line of sight here. I do. Easy enough.
Us to the Githyanki attack. Looks like Voss was good for his word.
Okay, so we're gonna wait for lethargic to wear off, and everything should be good.
Whatever comes, I'm ready.
Let's see where we are as far as... Okay, because we are now going to go back. My action economy, I have one short rest left, which is exactly what I need. So we'll go ahead and take that. I should have taken that before I start drinking the potions. The person to focus on searching here is the Chirai. So the Chirai has Raknir's braces. These allow you to cast Mage Hand as a bonus action. And they also grant you access to the telekinesis spell. The telekinesis spell is extraordinarily interesting. While you are, or it basically it allows you to move an object or an enemy, and you can throw them. It's a strength-based check to avoid that, so it's a little bit harder for certain people to pull off. However, for your barbarian classes, these can be very, very good. Once per turn, you can use telekinesis again while you're concentrating on it. So it's a concentration spell, so while you have it active for 10 turns, you can use it over and over and over again, as long as you keep your concentration. So I have seen some incredibly funny YouTube videos using Haraknir's bracers. It's good to have around as kind of a mage hand / telekinesis utility item that you can keep even if you're not going to wear them. The Psionic Ward armor is meh. It's armor class 15, medium armor, so it's the same as Scale Mail +1. If you are a Gith, then you have resistance to psychic damage. There's not a whole lot of psychic damage at this point in the game. You're going to see more of it toward the end game, and in a certain place that we're going to get to at the end of Act 2 here. Whenever you succeed a saving throw against a spell, you gain 1d4 hit points, which is just okay. And you have disadvantage on stealth checks. It's not something that I tend to keep around with me. And then you have just a regular Githyanki longsword. Now, I'm not going to be able to pick up most of this stuff because, again, my encumbrance is really high right now. Let me see where the club is, because that would affect the person that would probably be the best to wear it right now is Will. This is going to reduce my crit, and I won't have advantage on them in melee, but I don't think it's really necessary. I could just drop out my shield for that. So yeah, let's do this. Let's pick these things up with Will here then.
I love surprises.
Instead, for the last encounter before we take a long rest, I don't think it's going to matter. So again, there's some royal orders from Blackith. Stop the interlopers. Take back the artifact. So they are under orders here. You are going to pick up arrows of many targets out of this, which are really nice to have. I tend to buy those whenever I can.
Two steps at a time.
Is that blood?
Okay.
No.
So now we're going to join everybody back up, and we're going to make our way
path
back
lies
over
before
here.
me.
And do one last combat encounter, or set of combat encounters before we take a long rest. And that's down here in the morgue. Okay, so here inside the morgue, you start off in this room. There's obviously a big set of oak doors in front of us. We're going to
My
break our
faith will
group,
guide me.
All's well that ends
get guidance cast on
not
us
as bad as it
here,
could have.
start exploring a little bit. Okay, and we did perceive this button here.
Very well.
We're going
pride
to take
of the
Will
gate.
over, and we'll do some searching in all of these burlap
Easy.
sacks. Okay, there's a notice here to read. Basically says that this is where they're storing the dead bodies, and that the other jewelry, timepieces, and gold can be stored in the vault behind the hidden wall.
No one stopped me yet.
There's no time to waste.
Still alive, so that's progress.
I don't remember that there's anything too special in here, but we'll have guidance on while we look around. Yeah. Okay, so we'll take a look in here. With some more clothing. Whoops, don't need those. There's a pouch here. I believe I searched it. Okay. Didn't want to do that. Camp supplies. And here you have the strange tendril amulet. This allows you to cast Evard's Black Tentacles. And Evard's Black Tentacles is a great spell. Once per long rest, you can use this amulet to cast it. It's like a lot of your other area denial spells, and in that it's going to have a large AoE, in this case 6 meters, and it's going to turn all of that into difficult terrain. Now this is just a higher damage version of some of the other area denial spells, in that it does 3d6 bludgeoning damage to any enemies that move within, or anybody, including yourself, that moves through it. And it can possibly smother the creatures. So when they're smothered, they can't move. They're stuck in place. And again, they just take that 3d6 over and over and over again. It's a strength saving throw to get out of it. So if you are doing things that are going to lower the martial saving throws on somebody, this can help lock them in place for even longer. And attack rolls against that entity have advantage, while their attack rolls have disadvantage. So it's basically like, you know, an upgunned version of your spike growth and that sort of stuff, and twisting binds that go from not just slowing somebody down to then slowing somebody down and causing damage, to slowing them down, causing more damage, and also possibly other effects. It's something to like keeping around. I don't tend to use it very often, and I probably should, because it is a really, really good spell to have. Also is Furzu's Ring of Trading. Gives you Deception +1, so if you're trying to make deception checks, you can add this on to give you a bonus for that. Something else to keep around if you'd like. Another one that I tend not to use very often, just because I tend to forget that it's there. But with me, Persuasion is normally and I'm concentrating a little bit on making sure I'm just filling up everybody the most I can here.
Can't slow down.
But yeah, with me being a bard, I have access to a lot of those skills anyway. The +1 doesn't necessarily help me all that much, but certainly can. I'm not gonna throw my nose up at it. More camp supplies up here. And we can get rid of all of those. Okay, there are some wooden caskets. I don't think these have anything in them. Yeah. Okay, so here I'm gonna toggle the group again. Okay, and you can see I'm there are detection cones in here, and not entirely sure what those detection cones are until you start looking around a little bit. Then you can see that there are zombies that are inside here that are prone, or they're asleep, basically. And that's what's causing the detection cones. So you can walk in here without a problem and not get knocked out of hiding. However, they're also sitting on vents down here. Okay, and they're covering those vents up. And as soon as they become active, they're going to stand up and those vents are no longer going to be covered up. Now, something else to be aware of is as you move your mouse around in here, you're going to get areas that say poison cloud on them. This area in here is filled with patches of poison gas. And they're really hard to see. And they're only in patches. You can see kind of, as I move my mouse around, there are patches of them here and there in various places. And like I say, really hard to see. But if you have an elixir of poison resistance, all of this becomes negligible. And I'm going to take it. And now I can walk through these poison clouds. You can see that my pathing is no longer trying to take me on weird angles out here and around to avoid all of these. I can now just walk through them.
What path lies before me?
Without any danger of any of that. And I did, because the Hill Giant Strength Potion wore off. That's going to become a problem for me. Let me change out to my thieving gear. Okay, and I'm going to be very careful not to walk up on the zombies here.
Better be cautious.
I'm going to stay far away and try and disable these. Oh, so I've got disadvantage from being heavily encumbered. Interesting. Okay. So I guess I will deal with that.
Don't want to think about why my eye is itching.
Alright, let me do a little quick inventory management here.
The saloon, a prayer book. We should leave.
Almost there.
Unless we need kindling for our campfire.
Okay. Trying to see what else he's or she's carrying that is so heavy. Oh, okay, there it is. Okay, and that should just about
Let's
do
get
it.
going.
Just a little
People
bit
should stay
more.
crouched forever.
Okay, so that's fine. And now I will disarm this vent. So here I have advantage on this, got a total bonus of +6. And I do have plenty of thieves tools, so I'm not too, epping tools, but I don't think it's going to be an issue with these. Okay, I'm gonna
How
come
much
back
farther
here.
Can I go?
Can't afford any mistakes. Have to keep low.
Another step forward.
Okay, and once you get to a certain point in here,
Strange.
it's not going to matter anymore.
Most door has been wiped clean.
So, at this point, I am going to kind of get my attacks in here. What you're going to see is happening is the vents are now going to spread poison gas throughout a large portion of this room. Again, I don't really care about it that much. I'm going to start making my way back toward the entrance here. Okay, and I want to...
Unseen.
Bit of caution never hurt. Have to keep going.
want to get curs here because I do want to... Oh, the zombies here I need to look at because I can't remember. Honestly, I think they get blinded, but I'm not entirely sure. Because they're the undead part, I don't know how their eyes work. I'm going to try it and see. I'm trying to think about placement on this because I want everybody to be able to get in this fight. I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to cast the darkness back here a little bit farther, and I'll explain why here in a second. I don't know if this will bring me into combat or not. Okay, it's not going to, which is good. The reason I cast it back here is because, remember, there are poison gas pockets out here on these steps, and I don't want my other characters who are not immune to poison right now to get caught up in it, but I want them to be able to fight in the darkness.
Concentrate.
And now for Shadowheart, she's going to get her Spirit Guardians up. And as soon as she walks into the darkness, that's going to trigger her into combat, which is perfectly fine. And I'm going to have her just move up here close behind everybody.
Strength in silence.
And then Will, let's see if he's within range of anybody. Path is interrupted. Oh, because he can't go through the darkness. Get him into combat. So that little outcrop there has got him. Okay, and I'm gonna let her take her chances
Still on
out
my feet.
here with her high armor class to avoid a bunch of these hits.
Where do I go from here?
My faith will protect me.
Because there should only be 2 attacks. The rest are going to be dashing towards me. And you can see the poison gas is now spreading. But it will not spread. There's the second attack. So now I'm going to have a bunch of opportunity attacks. But now with defensive flourish, my armor class is 26. So now we'll try and move back here and avoid these attacks of opportunity.
With haste.
Easy peasy.
Forever dauntless.
And now we'll just have people go to town. So I'm going to move Will over here a little bit. Just to fully get him behind and in the Spirit Guardians.
Well, so much for peace.
Oh, missed both of the 74 percenters.
Got to focus.
And Shadowheart's just going to sit there. He's doing plenty enough with Spirit Guardians. Okay, so she's not close. Okay, there we go. Now that's close enough. Spirit Guardians is just OP in Act 2. So the Greater Zombie got knocked prone. Okay, that gets rid of his death ward, basically, Undead Fortitude, and then finishes him off.
No holding back.
Okay, Will can actually... Oh, this could be interesting. So he's got a 99% chance to hit with the Knife of the Undermountain King. Okay, so we'll give Will a melee kill. Why not? He was actually dual wielding those. And I wanted it to be actually off. Forgot to turn it off.
Time to push my luck again.
So, Kurz here. That's gonna hurt.
Can't give up.
Shadowheart, let's move her up a little bit. Shadowheart's getting hit a lot on disadvantage. Rolled an 18. Jeez, they're just rolling really, really well.
Battle favors the fearless. For a dull moment.
And Kurz should be able to finish him off. Okay. And I forgot to bind his weapon again.
Let's end this.
Have a lot on my mind.
Defender of the people.
Still
So
breathing.
who cast that
Despite
darkness?
everything.
Kurz did.
No time to rest.
Okay, so from here, don't think these zombies are going to have a whole lot, if anything. Okay, so we're going to
Back on my
keep
feet.
everybody back. I do want to look at... Oh, I think I looked at this last time. And I'll need to remember to get the amulet from Astarion or from my camp chest.
Wits and blades always sharp.
All right. What now? One day I'll catch a break.
So, Ostomer, do I miss in the game any item I would love using in tabletop? Yeah, I miss a bag of holding. That's what I miss. I miss the bag of holding. Somebody go find me one and put it in the game. I haven't looked through the mod list to see, but I would hope that by this point somebody would have added a bag of holding as a mod to the game. Okay, that should clean up the vast majority of the poison clouds. There are patches of it around here, so you're not going to be able to clean up all of it. So there is some searching to do. There's not a whole lot that you're going to find. Yeah, they do. That's the funny part about it. Is that there's an actual voiced character line about wish out a bag of holding. I think that's just one of those funny developer trolls that they threw in because there was never any intention of adding one to the game.
What's hiding here?
Okay, so we're just going to do some searching around here. And you can see that there are still poison clouds around here, so... Be very careful about bringing other characters in here when you're doing this searching. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So now we have 3 doors leading us out of this room. Okay, so we have an open double door here. Leads us into here, and there's a dead Harper in here. And again, I'm not bringing Shadowheart down here
Whatever it takes.
because of the poison clouds.
Never a dull moment. On my way.
Okay, so we will look through the heavy
Couple
chest here.
turns should do it.
Oh, hello. I am getting a little low on thieves' tools here for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. Do have enough? Oh, I do. Yeah, it was showing me the wrong numbers. I think those are the stolen thieves' tools. It's showing me as 2. I think I've got 7, so I don't need to use my inspiration here. And in here you have Bided Time. So, Bided Time is another one of those status effect type of items. The wearer gains Arcane Charge whenever they are hit by a melee attack. Arcane Charge is while you're threatened, then you're going to have a +2 bonus to damage with spells. So this can be very interesting for a certain particular feat, which allows you to do ranged spells up close without having disadvantage on that ranged spell attack roll. It allows you to treat them as melee spells. So Bided Time can be fairly interesting as a straight +2 bonus damage with your spells while you're threatened. However, it tends to be much more situational. I have seen a couple of builds worked around it, and specifically one of the builds that we have in our Paladin playthrough with Gale, your Gale tank. Using Gale to cast, or instead of using the robe, the Cold Snap robe, to cast Armor of Agathos on you, using a spell slot to do it instead, and having Bided Time with you, so that then you're gaining Arcane Charge whenever you're hit by a melee attack. And that hit by a melee attack doesn't matter if it does damage or not. So while it can't get through your Arcane Ward, it gives you +2 bonus to your spell attacks when you get hit by it. So this is something that can be useful. It's not something I'm going to be keeping on this playthrough, though. So here we have the Necrotic Laboratory spare key, which is going to be important here in a second, and there are research notes in the corner. So they were looking for a spell to try and remove the Shadow Curse, a variant on Remove Curse, Dispel Magic. Oh. Rip Dispel Magic in this game. So they were looking at some various incantations to do it, and one of them had an unintended consequence. It created living armor. So there are some other spell casting gestures traced below this. And Olam's journal here is talking about the Harper and the Harpers and the conflict with Ketheric and what happened afterwards. When he died, he uttered his final curse, which brought the Shadow Curse into existence, and it's basically taken over everything. And everything has died. So that does give you an inspiration. Whoops, I don't need to read it anymore. I don't think any of those or any of these have anything in them. And again, I don't think these have anything in them, but can't help myself sometimes. So let's get rid of...
I've got a long road ahead.
Okay. Now over here on this side, there's a lever.
Locked tight. There must be another way
Okay.
through.
There is a metal door here, which is locked. You can attempt to lockpick it with a DC of 30. Or we can make our way through here to the Morgue lab door that's locked. Remember the key that we picked up? This will move us into the necrotic laboratory.
Let's get on with it.
We'll cast guidance one more time.
Can't give up now. Don't waste a step.
Okay, there's the perception check we were looking for. Okay, and there's a lever here. We'll go ahead and search through the necrotic laboratory. Don't think any of these wooden shelves have anything.
Something good here, I hope.
Oh, I didn't even know you could reach those, and I failed the perception check. I rolled a 3. Nice. Okay, so I'm not going to open the opulent chest. It's another elixir of hill giant strength to replace the one that we previously lost, and it made me encumbered. That's ironic.
Might be useful.
And I don't think any of these blood banks have anything in them either. Skeletons aren't going to have much from what I remember. But again, has been a while since I've been through here, so we'll just take a look real quick. And now we'll come down here in the middle. See, obviously, some severed body parts in here. We will hit the lever. Just goes clunk. Tissue and organ register. This is basically people who died and they were being experimented on by the surgeon down here, and Balthazar was getting all of the choice specimens as far as the body parts went. Okay, interesting. And over here, just a couple more things to search on this side. The burlap sack. And again, don't think the blood banks have anything in them. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to... Weighs 20 pounds. Probably. Pick it up. No, 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 no. Don't want to do that. So let's see if we can get Shadowheart.
Unnoticed. Good.
And the best way to do this is to go into sneak mode
Need to press onward.
and see where your hiding mechanic wants you to move to get through these. Okay, so looks like there's open space over here to this side. Doesn't like me being there. Okay, so however I do this, looks like I'm going to be in a poison cloud of some sort to get through here. Let's see if we can jump. This area here looks clear. Okay, and now we're through.
On I go.
Best avoid
Okay.
that trap.
The chest is trapped, and if I'd have picked it up,
These
I'd have
things
run
are
into
staying
that same
interesting.
thing I ran into a long time ago, if you remember, while I was in the Underdark, where I picked up a trapped chest, and when I dropped it, it didn't give me the opportunity to try and disarm it. I don't know if that is still a mechanic in the game or not, but I'm not going to test it.
Shouldn't have wished to live in more interesting times. Can't keep me out.
Okay, and in here you have the Eversight ring. And this is what I mentioned a little bit ago about Shadowheart being blinded. inside of the darkness. She no longer has to worry about that.
There is work to do.
So the Ring of Elemental Infusion, I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to swap that out for the Eversight Ring. And the Ring of Elemental Infusion, I'm looking to see, it wouldn't matter as much on him. So I'll leave it here for now, but I don't think it's going to matter much.
Looking ahead.
Who's got it? We'll come back to that here in a little bit.
Wonder if the gods are watching me.
Okay, and then going to hit the lever. That lever in here unlocked this lever here, which now allows me to move into this area here. And this is an interesting location. Let's get Shadowheart. Oh, okay, so there were a couple of things I forgot on this side. So, the surgeon's research notes. Nothing very special, it just talks about what's next to it. And that's another Carabasan's poison that you definitely want to make sure you pick up.
Then. Perfectly hidden. Best step softly.
No one back home will ever believe this. Swift as my feet can carry me.
What comes now?
That was probably a bad thing to do.
No, never mind.
Didn't want her moving.
At the ready.
Okay, now you can see there's a button here. That button just opens the door, though. So that's telling you that there must be some other way to get into this place, except, you know, other than through that front door. Okay, so out here you can see there's another chest over there. Okay, and then down here you have this pit down here. Now you can see that there's a pathway, a cragged rock that leads you, and another cragged rock that leads you from the bottom here all the way up to this area here, or leads you from this area here all the way down to the bottom, and also can lead you over to this other side. Now you can Misty Step, or if you have the jump spell, you can make your way over to this side and make your way around. We're actually going to come back to this a little bit later on as part of the explorations that we're going to continue to do out here. And again, just can't help clicking on just a couple. Okay, but for now, there's nothing that we can do in here.
What's next?
So let's make our way out of here with Shadowheart.
Better tread carefully.
Okay, so she did get poisoned. So we'll just let that wear off, take the damage from it. Okay, now as far as this goes, let's just move one of these over.
Never a dull
Okay,
moment.
so where am I with my action economy?
Ready.
Still breathing.
Okay, so we're
Despite
pretty
everything.
much out
Cloak and dagger. My favorite.
on all of that. So let's go take a long rest. Oh yeah, sorry, Estimer, I wasn't paying attention while I was going through here. Oh yeah, looks like Eric already mentioned it. Yeah, it's a bag that you can put a whole bunch of stuff in and not weigh yourself down. So it's one of those things that DMs tend to almost give to you at some point during your campaigns, just because of how useful it is. But yeah, it's like I say, just one of those things. Let's go to Moonrise here first. Yeah, let's go to Moonrise.
Brothers. Sister. Pray with me while we
I'm not worthy. I never learned the words.
Go talk to Roa here. I can't remember if we had traded with her since. I don't know what her gold numbers look like.
Ever at your service.
Okay. So, I got a comment about this from M concerning the Drake Throat Glaive. And he's right. However, it's not something I'm going to do. We had talked a little bit about the Drake Throat Glaive last week on the Paladin livestream. The real benefit of this is the Draconic Elemental Weapon Transmutation spell. What that does is allow you to cast a spell that lasts until long rest, where you receive a +1 bonus to attack rolls, and you deal an additional 1d4 damage of your choice. And you can pick which elemental damage choice or elemental damage you want to apply to that weapon. Now, the thing about it is that this is a spell, and it can apply to any weapon, not necessarily the Drake Throat Glaive. So what you can do is right after you come out of a long rest, you can cast that on somebody's weapon that they're holding, add a set of elemental damage to it, and then you can just unequip the Drake Throat Glaive, drop it back in your inventory, or drop it back in a camp chest, or whatever you want to do, and that spell's going to stay active. I've talked about this a little bit. If you can certainly do it. It's in the game. However, I think it's probably a little bit cheese. If I went through all of the different things like this that could stack up additional damage that I don't have to equip, that I don't have to keep equipped, it would get way overpowered. Adding additional 1d4 damage choice of mine's not necessarily OP, but it's still not something that personally sits very well with me. I don't see a DM in tabletop ever allowing that to happen. It would either be only castable on this weapon, or it would be castable on a weapon, but then as soon as that person unequipped it, then that other person would lose that damage bonus as well. I don't think any DM would normally allow it. Now again, I don't mind if other people do it. It's a perfectly valid strategy to do. I just simply won't be doing it in my playthrough, but I guess it would be negligent of me not to talk about it, and not to mention the fact that you can gain an additional 1d4 elemental damage of your choice at the start of your long rest by buying the Drake Throat Glaive and casting it on whoever you want on that weapon, and it will stay there. And yeah, that's exactly what I mean, Lord Henry. There are certain things in this game that a DM just would never allow to happen. I have told you before, I have a very strong tabletop background, so it's not something I'm going to be doing. But you certainly can do it. And like I say, I'm never going to hold that against anybody else for any reason. If you do it, it's something that's in the game. You certainly can do it. I just won't be doing it in my playthrough. So I'm not going to buy it. For a lot of you, though, it may be a necessary thing that you're going to buy in your playthroughs. So looking at where we are here, I don't think there's anything else. Let's do some selling of items here. And I'm kind of anxious to see something. Okay, so they still haven't brought it back. You still can't shift-click items here in this screen to be able to move them to the barter window. You can double-click items, and they will go in there. And I've got 3. I'll move those 2 up there. I don't need all these additional trap disarm kits. I don't think I can send anything anywhere from here. I can't. Where did that go? Okay, I moved it up here. Yeah, that's kind of what I was waiting to see. I looked through both of the hotfixes this week and didn't see anything in the patch notes about it. I was hoping they would have done it. It obviously appears that they haven't. Okay. Kind of, wow, what did I just drop in there? The Idol of Shar? Okay. More expensive than I thought. So 1179. 1178. I think I'm willing to give 1 more gold there.
An honor, Trousseau.
Yeah, the whole salami thing I know has not been fixed.
The absolute war drums beat
The whole
loud in
salami
your
club
chest.
thing.
How may I serve?
Okay. And that's what we were just talking about. So 1568. So we've got 100 left. $16 left. Don't want to sell Falar Aluv. Oh, now down to 72. $30 left. 9 left. Probably good enough. Let's just look one more time and make sure this is all the Githyanki stuff we picked up. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else in here that we want to pick up. We already looked through these previously. Yeah, nothing else that we want to pick up at this point.
Slaughter well, true soul.
We do have another vendor here. Have we been over here? Oh, we haven't done this encounter yet. Might as well do this while we're here.
Just a picture.
We'll talk to Linsella, and you can see that there are some dominated Gnolls here.
A moment, true soul. You use a spoon to stir the soup, Barnabas. Forget the axe, my darling. Now, how can I help you? I've shown Barnabas a kinder way. A kinder name is only fitting. That is the gift the Absolute gave me when I stood before her. To rewrite the lives of her faithful. Make them believe there's something better. I have. It is one thing to hear her voice. Quite another to feel the power she can grant. Observe. Barnabas, sweetie. Come show what a good boy you are. What would you like him to do? The prayer, I think. Barnabas struggles with civilized speech, but he's been practicing.
You feel her will surge outwards and envelop the creature, inexorable as the tide.
No, Barnabas! We talked about this.
Okay, so there's a wisdom check here that you can make, and again, I did this without Shadowheart here, which was, again, probably a mistake. But we'll try and roll here and see what we come up with. We do have one inspiration to give here, probably. I keep forgetting to have this conversation. Wow, nice roll with Shadowheart.
Like rope drawn taut beneath the blade, the connection simply snaps.
No. Barnabas. Darling. No!
There's a parasite in that corpse.
All trace of restraint is gone. Barnabas has tasted blood, and wants more. As the symbol glows, power courses through you. Authority.
Okay, so now you have a couple of options here. Persuasion, intimidation, or you can use your tadpole here. I have a lot of bonuses to persuasion. It's a DC 16. Okay, now they turn green. Okay, and we got our inspiration back from that. They turn green, which means they are basically allied with us. And you'll see the implications of that a little bit later on.
Let's see what this does.
I don't think we've been in here and talked to Araj either.
All things occult. A very great pleasure to meet you, true soul. Should you be interested, I have a particular offer I'd like to make.
We'll come back and deal with the special offer a little bit later. Okay, so for her, she has some very interesting items here that we are going to want to buy. So I am going to raise her attitude here. To do that, I'm going to start off by giving her 2,500 gold. That raises her attitude to 100. So now, while we're here, let's get rid of the rest of these items here. And we have some pretty high value items in here. I'm going to get rid of these dyes as well. Don't need or want to keep that. Keeping the Exterminator's Axe. Okay. And now the rest of this stuff. Whoops. I forgot it was going to be doing that. Whenever your last character in line, whenever you remove a line here, watch what happens when the water at the end moves to here. It moves everything down one. So you really have to watch what you're clicking on as you go, because that last line, it shifts things. And that's the other thing I don't like about it. Okay. So we're going to offer all that up into barter, and I'm going to make sure that there's nothing in here that I didn't unintentionally click on. Like everything's fine. So now out of what she has, she sells some of the best poisons that you're going to find. So including another one of the purple worm toxins here. She also sells the Circlet of Hunting. So this Hunter's Mark, True Strike, or Hunter's Mark allows you to do additional piercing damage when you are the one that cast it on a target. The Circlet of Hunting allows you as another character to, it doesn't necessarily have to be you that cast Hunter's Mark, to do an additional 1d4 bonus damage against them, or if you were the one that cast Hunter's Mark, you're going to be able to do the piercing damage and an additional, or have an additional 1d4 bonus to attack rolls against them. So it allows you to take, not damage, but the attack roll, allows you to have an additional bonus to somebody who isn't necessarily benefiting from either True Strike or Hunter's Mark. To do it. It's not something that I normally utilize, just because fighting in darkness gives me advantage for most of the time anyway. So having that additional bonus to somebody who's only tagged with Guiding Bolt or Hunter's Mark or something like that isn't normally something that I'm going to invest in. The Hat of Storm Scion's power, however, can be very interesting for certain builds. Again, you're going to gain Arcane Acuity whenever you do thunder damage. And Arcane Acuity gives you a +1 bonus to your spell attack rolls and spell DC for each remaining turn that you have that on. Now this could be very, very interesting in that if you're causing thunder damage with a cleric who can normally deal out that thunder damage repeatedly or as side effects to something else, you can gain Arcane Acuity, which is going to up your spell DC to the point where you can land any spell against any target no matter what. And that allows you to land things like Banish or Planar Ally or Tasha's Hideous Laughter against some of the biggest boss enemies in the game after you have built up charges of Arcane Acuity. It's something I recommend buying and keeping at least in your stash, just in case you decide to put together some sort of build that focuses around thunder damage. And again, that can happen a lot with certain types of clerics, especially your Tempest clerics, or your light clerics with Destructive Wave. With Destructive Wave, you can cast AoE thunder damage on a whole bunch of targets, and your Arcane Acuity will stack itself up to huge levels after one cast of that spell. So it is something situationally that you might want to utilize to then land a very damaging or immobilizing spell against a boss enemy later. The Robe of Exquisite Focus just gives you +1 spell save DC. Again, I don't think it's very useful. The Thunderskin Cloak, however, we are definitely going to buy. When a creature with reverberation deals damage to the wearer of this cloak, the creature needs to make a Constitution saving throw or become dazed. We've learned about dazed before. It basically gives you disadvantage on wisdom saving throws. You can't take any reactions, and any dex bonus to your armor class is gone. Now, we have somebody who is giving reverberation to people all the time. So then whenever that person misses a target, they're going to have to make a con saving throw or become dazed, and then you can land all sorts of debilitating wisdom spells against that enemy quite a bit easier. So if you have a reverberation-based person in your party, then this can be very, very useful. So next is the Ring of Free Action. You definitely want to pick this up. No ifs, ands, or buts, just do it. The effects of difficult terrain is one thing that is just situational. Cannot be paralyzed or restrained, however, is OP. There are some enemies in this game, if you've gotten to this point in honor mode, this ring is going to save your life 1,000 times over in honor mode. Not being able to be paralyzed or restrained is just an incredibly huge benefit, and you definitely want to make sure you have it available to you for certain encounters. The risky ring is something that I also use quite a bit. You're going to gain advantage on attack rolls, but you receive disadvantage on saving throws. That can be debilitating in certain encounters. However, in some of the more pure melee-based encounters you're going to get into, where you don't have to deal with passing saving throws a lot, gaining advantage on your attack rolls is huge. So the Boots of Arcane Bolstering, every time you dash, you gain Arcane Charge. We've learned about Arcane Charge before. Whenever you're threatened, you're going to have a +2 bonus to damage with spells. Again, for that Gale tank build, again, I wouldn't necessarily get rid of some of the other items that Gale has in that build. But being able to build up arcane charges quickly through this and the other item can let you have a +4 bonus for your charge, your arcane charge, all the time. And that can be very useful. It's just not something that I'm going to be focused on. So looking at the other stuff in here, definitely, yeah, see, I'm going to pay for itself here out of all of this. So I'm going to get all of my gold back and then some out of this by raising her up and also having the +5 bonus to charisma that I have through Dark Lady's Grace right now. So just looking at the last few things, I think that's it that I'm going to pick up. So we're going to balance this offer out and barter it.
Come back anytime.
And again, we are going to be coming back and talking to her again later on, just not right now. Okay, so all of this stuff that I picked up, some of this doesn't really matter who it goes on. So the risky ring I normally have on Shadowheart. But the coruscation ring is letting me stack up those quite a bit. So I'm going to keep the risky ring in reserve. I'm going to swap these back out to the wondrous gloves and to... Now I'm trying to remember what ring I had. The Ring of Arcane Synergy. The strange Tendril Amulet. Going to put on Will. Punch-Dark Bastard I can send to camp. The Hat of Storm Scion's Power I'm going to put on Shadowheart. Yes. And then the Thunderskin Cloak I'm also going to put on Shadowheart. Okay, and for now that's fine. I'll do some more inventory cleanup later on. But for now,
about supplies when we make it home.
Let's take our long rest.
Our oil, but it should just about do.
And let's go see if we have any conversations to have.
Copper for your thoughts.
Okay, nothing there. One thing before I go is I need to... Oh, it automatically rebound Fowler Alluve, even though it technically took it out of my inventory and put it back in my inventory while we were trading. We're going to put a shield back on Will.
If not over, then through.
Hope you're keeping well, friend.
Just what I need.
I don't think we're going to have any major conversations to have here. But we always want to check every time we take a long rest.
Fate spins along as it should.
Dost thou require a new ally? Or mayhaps a resurrection instead?
Ah, my favorite traveling companion.
May the darkness protect you.
Okay, so nothing new so far. The last set's over here. Gale always has something to say, doesn't he?
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Oh, for once he doesn't.
I don't think I realized just how much you cared for me. I was certain you'd fallen for Astarion, the charming rapscallion that he is. What was it that changed your mind? I couldn't want for a better answer. Thank you for seeing the best in me, and showing me the best in you.
Yes, Lord Henry, I certainly am going to. That's the last thing I'm going to do before I head to bed. Okay, and then I want to check my inventories here. And yes, Astarion has the silver pendant. Which I want to give to somebody else. For now. And I think that's all we need to do. So we'll head to bed here. We will wake up drunk. With the new hungover mechanic. Always fun to see. We'll wait for that to wear off before we talk to Lae'zel here. He's probably going to have something to say after the attack that we just dealt with the Gith. But I'll wait until my hangover wears off first. That's right. It's an interesting thing that they added to go along with the achievement that you can get for doing a long rest utilizing all alcohol.
first in my heart.
It is as we knew. My people have turned their blades against us. They will emerge from the shadows and descend from the skies, and we will grant them their only just fate. Death.
Okay. So now we can leave our camp.
This place gives blood. This is heavy.
Okay, so from here, let's head back. Yeah, I want to head up here, but to do that, I want to have Astarion in the party. So let's do this instead. Let's go back to camp. Let's drop off, and we'll illustrate this new mechanic. Let's go talk to Astarion.
My favorite traveling companion.
We want him to join our party.
Perhaps if you lost a follower or two. I prefer to travel in smaller groups. It's more intimate.
So now we can tell him whose place we would like to take, and we're going to swap him out for Will.
In that case, I'd be happy to tag along.
And we do have to level up Astarion here just very quickly. Okay, this is going to get him his subclass, which is going to be Gloomstalker. For his spells, I'm not really too interested in what these are. Jeez, I just become encumbered by everything. I'm gonna give these to Karlach, because I don't need them.
Still alive, so that's progress.
And I will clean up her inventory. Why am I still listed as encumbered? That's interesting. I wonder if removing gold does not remove your encumbrance for some reason. Let's see if we can just leave camp. See if it resets it. Oh, whoops. I did not mean to do that. Interesting. So why am I still encumbered? Let's see if I can just take any item and move it off. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a bug. Is that when you use gold to get below your carry weight, it does not remove the encumbrance tag from you. We can kind of test that real quick. Not probably with that. That's probably a bit too much. Let's see if we can move over a few of these things. Okay, so now I'm encumbered again. So now if I take this gold, I'm going to try and move just the whole stack. That does it. That removes the encumbrance tag. Let's see if I split split this and keep some gold in my inventory. That removes it. That was just a rather strange thing to run into. I'll have to look at it off stream and see if I can duplicate it. But yeah, anyway, we are not
Better not be cursed.
encumbered anymore, and we have Astarion with us.
A sweetheart, perhaps?
Now we want to go back to Moonrise Towers. We want to go talk to Aludra again. And then we're going to go head out exploring again, I promise.
The reaction fit. Welcome back, true soul. I'd like to offer my services, if you're willing. Put plainly, I'd like your blood. A vial of true soul's blood, specifically. With one drop, I can brew a rather potent potion for you. The rest, I keep for myself. No idea, but it will be unique to you. Your blood essence and the Absolute's blessing intertwined. We can learn exactly what that means together, Research, naturally. A little experimentation, perhaps. I have an innate curiosity for all things sanguine. Just a little prick and it's all over. Close your eyes. There we are. All of your very best traits in a bottle. Use it well. Although perhaps there's one more thing we could discuss. Your friend. He's a vampire, no? Or one of their spawn, at least.
Oh, don't worry. We're all friends under the Absolute. I won't bite.
Oh, I'd prefer if you did. I assume he belongs to you? I'm sure he really believes that. How utterly adorable. Do you have a name, Spawn?
Astarion, but hold on.
Good. Now, Astarion. I've dreamt of being bitten by a vampire since I was a young girl.
I'm sorry, you want to be bitten?
To feel your life's blood slipping away. To dance on the edge between life and death. Yes, I want it. I'll even compensate you. A potion of legendary power that forever increases the strength of the one who consumes it. It's not for sale, but it's yours. If you bite me.
I will have to decline.
Excuse me? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you're squandering it.
I gave you my answer.
Can't you talk some sense into your obstinate charge?
I'm sorry, but could you excuse us a moment? Are you actually asking me to do this? Trading me for some potion? Because there's something wrong with her blood. I can smell it from here. It's rank. I can't say. It just smells wrong. Unnatural. Drinking it wouldn't kill me, but it would not be pleasant.
I don't have all day, true soul.
Fine. I'll do it. Darling, I've had a sudden change of heart. After all, who could resist such a delectable neck? Hold very, very still.
Incredible. Incredible.
Oh, hells.
Not to your taste.
You're fetid, full of corruption.
I feel exquisite, though. So here's my part of the bargain. I hope you find it as satisfying as I found this. It was everything I imagined, and then more. I'll be able to put this to good use.
Okay, so you are going to get an inspiration for Guild Artisan out of this. You also are going to receive a potion based upon your race, and then another potion, Everlasting Vigor. So, the potion of Everlasting Vigor permanently increases your strength by 2. It's an incredible potion to have. You definitely want to get it. You're going to get some disapproval from Astarion for making him do it, basically. But you definitely want to have this potion. It's too valuable to pass up just for a little disapproval from him for it. You're also going to get one that's based upon your race. And every race is going to get a different potion, but the same races, even if it's different characters, are going to get the same potion. They're usable by anyone, but they are totally determined by your race. In this case, a half-elf is in an AoE effect around you. You're going to regain hit points equal to your constitution score. But you can change to different characters.
No harm in a little conversation.
Araj O'Blordra, trader in all things occult. A very great pleasure to meet you, true soul. Should you be interested, I have a particular offer I'd like to make.
Now, Shadowheart.
With 1 drop, I can brew a rather potent potion for you. The rest, just a little prick and it's all over. Close your eyes. There we are. All of your very best traits in a bottle. Use it well.
Is also a half-elf. So you can see she gets the exact same potion out of it.
I've got a long road ahead.
Araj O'Blordra, trader in all things occult. A very great pleasure to meet you, true soul. Should you be interested, I have a particular offer I'd like to make. With 1 drop, I can brew a rather potent potion. Just a little prick and it's all over. Close your eyes. There we are. All of your very best traits in a bottle. Use it well.
For that, you get the elixir of half-orcish fury. So when you are downed before your next long rest, you instead drop to 1 hit point. This it also goes along with the sorry, I'm looking. Okay, it's not shown in here. In that list. But as a half-orc, you have that ability. When you go down, then instead of going down, you're brought back up to 1 hit point. Now you can have that same ability on anybody who chooses to drink that potion until their next long rest. You could also do it on you, and now you'd have that ability twice instead of just once. And then Astarion is a high elf, isn't he? Yes, he's a high elf.
Like a child at her
Keep it
first
quick.
Idiotry. Welcome back, true soul. With 1 drop, I can brew. There we are.
He gets Elven Elegance. which here is it grants you an additional 10 meters movement speed, dark vision, and you can't be charmed until your next long rest. This is an incredibly powerful potion for non-elven characters in certain encounters. It is definitely something that you want to keep available to you as you go through this. So now I'm going to head back to camp. Nope, I'm not. I'm going to head to the road to Baldur's Gate. And I'm not going to take the road to Baldur's Gate.
Keep going.
Whoops. I'm going to head up past the House of Healing here. I'm going to go open up another waypoint. Okay, we are going to have an encounter here with Arabella.
Hey! I know you! You're... Twist 'em up!
It's you! Our little idol thief from the Druid's Grove.
Sorry. It knocks the wind right out of me. That druid idol I took? It changed me. I can do all sorts of stuff now, not just the vines. I think real hard and say some loud words and then it happens. Mostly. Tragedies. Them's the sad ones, right? I hope not. Especially since Mum and Pops, after Zevlor, when he... Well, there was an ambush. Mum yelled, "Run!" So we ran. I could hear him running behind me. Till I couldn't. Still can't find him. But I bet you can. You'll help me, I just know it.
You notice the girl shivering in fear and anger. She is not yet ready to hear the truth of her parents' fate.
Thanks, miss. I knew you'd help me again. The vines won't last forever. I don't suppose I can stay with you. Just till you find Mum and Pops. I won't be any trouble, I swear it. Oh, thanks. You're the best. So you send Mum and Pops there. I'll be waiting, hero lady.
Okay. So we do need to finish off the shadows here.
You've made a grave mistake.
Okay, he had dual wielding on.
Got to focus.
And of course he saved. So just a simple encounter to get by, nothing big. We want to continue heading up this way here.
Should mind my step.
And we passed a perception check on the skeleton here. And this skeleton has the other half of the Bond Caress warding bond set. We're going to be exploring this a little bit later on, just not right this instant. But again, the set allows you to cast warding bond between the two of you, and you can cast... You know, I don't think I've ever unlocked these.
Bet I can crack that open.
Sorry, I got distracted there. Okay. So a book again about the war and the Shadow Curse. I have never picked these items up. Okay. So the Boots of Apparent Death. So this allows you to cast Feign Death once per short rest. So that's interesting. Feign Death is kind of like the smaller version of Sanctuary, in that it puts an ally in a protective coma. They become resistant to all damage except psychic, and disease and poison have no effect. However, they are still targetable by enemies, and they are still damageable by AoE spells and that sort of stuff, which Sanctuary does not allow. But again, the other thing that this is really good for is if you get diseased, and that disease is going to keep ticking off once every few turns, and you don't have a way using restoration to remove that, Feign Death is a way to, for 10 turns, keep that person from dying because of that disease or that poison. So it's situationally very useful. I have just never seen those boots before. So, you learn something new every time you play this thing. So in here's the Ice Bite robe. We've talked about this on the Paladin playthrough. This allows you to cast Armor of Agathis as a level 3 spell, which means that you're going to get 15 hit points, temporary hit points out of it, and you're going to be dealing 15 cold damage to any creature that hits you. Now, this lasts until long rest. It is not concentration based. So this is a great way to upcast Armor of Agathis without having to use a spell slot. You also gain resistance to cold damage, so if you're standing in the middle of one of your cold spells that you're going to cast, like Ice Storm or something like that, then this allows you to automatically take half damage to it. And if you're passing a dexterity saving throw to avoid half of it, now you're only going to take a quarter of it. So the Ice Bite robe for your cold-based Gale tank builds, this is a key part of it. I don't have any of... I'm not going to have that build here. I mean, I might put Gale in that build. I just don't use Gale in this playthrough, but I'm definitely going to keep it. Okay, and we're going to make our way around here.
Open up.
dark justice is slain in battle. They must have a stronghold nearby or a temple.
More true than you know. And we're gonna make our way up here, and somebody's waiting for us.
Our hero thought but of treasure ahead, did not consider the peace of the dead. Through the dark she went creeping, and awoke what was sleeping. A new grave they dug, which she herself fed. Merely protecting my assets. I've grown quite fond of you, you know, in my way. I thought it only fair to warn you about the dangers ahead. Oh, we both know they are soon to be revealed. It would be pointless of me to try to bar you from entering. But I can set the scene, as it were. Prepare you for your role. There is a stage down in the dark upon which a great drama has suspended itself in time. Its actors dwell there still, mired in the languor of their long, tired scenes. If you, however, through the dark, go creeping and awake what is sleeping, chances are many more graves than yours alone will soon be fed. Very well. There is a creature that lurks in silence and shadow. A creature who, like me, is very much of the infernal persuasion. Should it make its way out through the very doors you are about to brazenly swing open, you'll have unleashed a pestilence upon this realm. In truth, it is carnage incarnate. So if you meet the devil of which I speak, kill it. Consider no other course of action. This creature and I go back a long way. I admit it would be in my best interest as well should it remain trapped in the dark. Or misplace its head, perhaps? I should not relish its reacquaintance. Let's leave it at that. You have it in you to author a thrilling finale, if you heed this warning. Do not underestimate this opponent. At best, you will have the blink of an eye to strike. Strike first, strike true, defy the odds, for they are distinctly in its favor. That much I owe the bastard to concede. And don't think I've forgotten your tale, Astarion. When the beast is dead, I'll consider that payment enough to translate those scars of yours.
A fairer deal than I expected.
You wound me, Spawn. I always deal fairly. And will close this particular deal soon enough. Vanquish the beast, and all will be revealed.
Okay, and that's why I wanted to have Astarion with me just for that last bit of conversation.
Maybe it will bring us closer.
Well met.
Sorry, but there's no room for me. I like how you think.
Okay, so we're gonna remove Astarion again. We're gonna head up here quickly, and now you can see that Arabella is back here at camp.
Hey, you. I made it. Easy peasy. You find Mum and Pops? No. No. I don't believe you.
Remember, we saw her parents at the House of Healing.
It isn't true. It isn't. Get away from me. Go.
Okay, so we're going to come back and talk to her a little bit later
Fate,
on.
Dost thou require a new app?
When we take our next long rest. But for now, we'll just leave camp. Okay, so we want to quickly, for the last minute here, just make our way around the corner. And a little bit farther down, we can discover the waypoint. This is going to be a good point for us to stop. What we're going to do next week is head down this direction and explore all of this and explore the ominous crevice down here. And after that's done, we will have most of the western side of the town explored, and we can start making our way down toward the Masons Guild, work through the Masons Guild, and that will have finished up everything outside of the Grand Mausoleum. We'll go through and we'll do a couple of things around and inside of Moonrise Towers in conjunction with that. So next week, we'll explore through here, down through the Masons Guild, finish off a few things here around Moonrise Towers, and get us prepared to head into the Grand Mausoleum. And that is a whole nother thing all into itself once we get in there, and you'll see exactly why that is when we get to that point. But for now, that's our save point. As always, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. I love the interactions in the chat. I'm sorry if I missed a few things, but I'll go back through the comments and see if I need to put a response up or comment up under the video. But thank you all for being here. I certainly appreciate it. As a reminder, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, that's GMT -6 right now, will be the Paladin live stream. And the Paladin live stream is a little bit further along and should be adventuring into the Grand Mausoleum there. So if you want to see what that looks like, come join us then. So as always, thank you for your support. Without it, none of this would be possible. This is Commander Jerval saying, until next time, fare thee well.